Hey guys, this is another tutorial. This tutorial is actually also going to be included in the new packet, so keep your eyes peeled for that. But this is just an older grade project. It is another 1-point perspective type project, and it is actually a project that was requested by some of my 6th graders this year. So I am going to go through with it today. This is a 1-point perspective, like cityscape, that we're going to try and draw. A landscape is just like a painting drawing from outside, and so a cityscape is like a painting or drawing of outside but in a city. So we're going to kind of create a city. You can create your own city. It doesn't have to be like actual buildings that you've seen. You can just make those up. But that's what we're doing today. So what you're going to need is a pencil and like a straight edge. It doesn't necessarily need to be a ruler, but this ruler will certainly work. You could use like the edge of a book or whatever it is that you've got that's flat that you can try and use though, which is something I used when I was younger when I didn't have a ruler. So it works just as well if you just have like a book or something that you can use as a straight edge. So the first thing you're going to do for this project is you're going to find the horizon line, and we've learned in art that a horizon line is wherever the sky meets the earth. So that's going to be a very flat line. And then we've also learned in art that composition wise, how you decide to put your drawing and painting or whatever you're using together is that you use the rule of thirds. Straight in the middle works, but it doesn't look as appealing as, say, like the top third or the bottom third. So I'm going to do the bottom third. It's not going to be directly halfway. It is going to be below half. So I am going to be using my straight edge here to draw that horizon line, and it's got to be straight. A true horizon line, I don't know if you've ever seen the ocean or gone to the beach or whatever, but that true horizon line is where you see the water and the sky, and it's that line. Okay, so that's what the horizon line is. We've drawn a horizon line. Now you're going to choose any point on this line, much like we did in that 1-point perspective project a few weeks ago. So you're going to put a point on the line, and this is going to be the vanishing point. So if you didn't try that 1-point perspective project we did earlier, vanishing point is where all of the lines kind of meet. So it can be anywhere on this line. I just decided to put it here. The example that I used in the previous project about vanishing points was if you've ever stood on a sidewalk or looked at the road as your parents have been driving, you'll notice that the sides of the roads kind of lean in, and the farther down you look, you'll notice those sides kind of get closer and closer together. So that is the vanishing point. That is where those lines are gonna eventually meet as far as your perception goes. So that's where I'm gonna put mine, like I said, but you could put it anywhere. Okay. And this is going to be where all my buildings and all my streets and maybe even street lamps meet. So I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to draw those things. So this is going to be my road or my street. It's all going to meet this spot. Right there. Okay. So this is the road. You've got those like traffic lines. I'm just gonna lightly, and you're gonna want to draw lightly because you're gonna want to erase a lot. And much like the lines kind of meet, these traffic lines, they look longer, but like when something's farther away, it appears to be smaller. So these lines are going to appear to shrink as they get to that vanishing point. And then I'm going to draw a sidewalk. So say that's about right. Well, if I'm thinking this is my road and a car fits on it, if I make my sidewalk this big, then that would make like a giant sidewalk, and most sidewalks aren't that big. So I'm thinking about it in relation to how big my road is. This is going to be my sidewalk here. I'm going to do a very similar size for the other side. That right there, probably good. Okay. So there's my road and my sidewalk. That's very important that you use this idea when you're drawing it, because it's not going to look realistic if you don't follow this other rule. So first you've got to have a horizon line. Another rule is you have to have a vanishing point, and all of your lines go toward that point. But if you've got horizontal lines, they're always going to be parallel to your horizon line. So my horizontal lines, a good example of one of those is the sidewalk lines. So if I'm not making them parallel, let's say I draw that like that, we can tell it's not parallel because eventually this line is going to touch this line, right? So you want to make it parallel, otherwise it's going to look like the sidewalk is sort of leaning. So we want to make it parallel with the horizon line. Whoops. Right? And that's what's going to make it look like a believable sidewalk. Okay? And you're going to draw those lines going all the way down, and they're going to get closer together just like we did with these lines. So they'll eventually just not even, you won't even be able to see all of those lines because they're so far away. And this is a project that's definitely going to need some time. You're going to want to take your time. Give yourself a good amount of time, because art takes time. And like I always say, good art takes a lot of time. So I'll move this this ruler and you'll see what I mean. See how it looks like they're starting to get closer and closer together? Well, they are on my paper, but like if you were to look at an actual sidewalk, it would appear this way as well. So I'm just going to continue to draw those and make sure they're all parallel with the horizon line. Okay, so there's my sidewalk. So let's say over here I want to draw some buildings. So I'm going to decide where I want to start the building. Sorry, I'm going to move this paper over so you can see it a little better. I'm going to decide where I want to start the building. And most times when you look at a city, the building isn't right next to the sidewalk. So I'm going to draw another line. And this is why it's really important that you draw lightly, because I'm going to want to erase some of these lines later. I'm going to decide how tall I want my building. And this is another rule. So it's got to be parallel with the horizon line to make it look like a believable horizontal line. But you also, if you're making something like a building that's got a really long straight edge, then you're going to need to make that long vertical line parallel with the edge of the paper. Okay, so I'm going to make, or perpendicular to this line. So I'm going to make this building maybe about this big. This is a giant building. And you're going to decide on this corner, because this is the one that's closest to the horizon, right? It's closest on this line. So I'm going to decide on this one how tall I want my building, right? Maybe I don't want it this tall. Maybe I want to start it to right here. Well, that top of the building is also going to go toward the vanishing point. So that's the top of my building. And remember, I'm going to want to erase that later, and I'm also going to want to erase these, because I'm done with this. I don't need those. Okay, and then the horizon line, you can't see it when a building's in the way. So I'm going to erase this. And this is one side of my building. Okay. I also need to draw another side. Maybe this will be my other side. So I'm going to decide how like far away from this corner I want the building to like kind of stretch back. So I'm going to say, hey, maybe about right here. Make sure it's vertical with the, or sorry, parallel with the edge of your paper when you're drawing a vertical line. And then it needs to be parallel with the horizon line if you're drawing a horizontal line. Horizon, horizontal. Right? So this is the top of my building. And this is another side of my building right here. So I'm going to make that parallel with my horizon line. And also, this line in here, I don't need it now. Right? Because that's my horizon line and I can't see that when a building's in the way. And there's one building right there. Okay, so you're going to kind of create a lot of buildings. Maybe one of my building kind of goes out, like maybe this next one. Maybe I'm going to make it start a little bit farther back than this one, so I'm going to draw another one of those lines to show me where I'm going to start this one. And I'm going to make this one taller, maybe about right here, taller, because I want to have, like, this is like my alleyway. I'm going to make this one taller than this building, so I'm going to draw these lines, maybe right there. But remember, it's always the corner that's kind of closer to you that shows you how tall the building is. This one, if you think about it, this one looks like it's farther away, right? So this is the other side of that. I'm going to draw another vertical line. And I'm going to decide that I want my building to be this tall. So I am going to, once again, go toward that vanishing point. Okay, I don't need this line. Okay, and this building is in front of this building, so I'm going to erase these lines that I drew. Once again, it's going to take a lot of drawing lines and erasing lines to make this look believable. Okay, I don't need these. Maybe I'll keep that to show me where some windows go, but this is kind of how vanishing points work. Okay, there's my building. There's one side of my building. I'm going to make this building maybe go to right here. And now it's kind of off. The vanishing point kind of, or I mean, at least this line, you wouldn't be able to see it because this is your perspective. So I'm not going to see any more. If I were to see another building, I could put like another one here, right? But I wouldn't be able to see the bottom. Maybe I'll be able to see the top. So maybe I'll make this building this tall, right? But I can't see that corner that would be closest to me, so I'm just going to have to guess for this one. Which is why I'm drawing lightly, so I can erase some lines. Don't need this line anymore. I don't need this line. Okay, and this is kind of like an alley. This is an alleyway. I don't need any of these lines. Oh, whoops, that was the top of my building. Whoops. But I don't need these lines. Wait, what's wrong? I'm getting confused. Okay, don't get confused like I am. Wait a minute. Yeah, no, that was the edge. No, I erased the right line. I was right. But I don't need this line anymore. And actually, I can keep this line because that's the back of my building and I can see it because it's taller than this building. Right, there we go. That makes more sense. Okay, so I've got these buildings. One last thing that I'll show you is street lights. Street lights would also follow this vanishing point. So let's say I want my street lights to be, I don't know, about that tall. I'm going to make sure that they're all that tall. So these are going to be really... Wait, maybe I'll just do this first. So another one maybe is right here. That's where it starts to turn. Let's see where that would go. Yeah, about right there. And street light. Okay, maybe some other buildings over here, but I'm going to leave the rest up to you guys. Let's see. Everything is going to follow this vanishing point. Windows. So if I were to make like a window here, don't forget about the verticals and horizontals. They should always be completely straight, not vertical or anything, or I'm sorry, not horizontal or anything. What I'm looking for is diagonal. Sorry. Not diagonal or anything. The sides of my windows are always going to be like straight up and down. But anything like the tops of your buildings that are going horizontal are always going to be parallel with your horizon line. And then these vertical lines are always going to be parallel with the sides of your papers. You're always going to go towards a vanishing point. One last thing I kind of want to show you is maybe I want to draw like a street turning. So let's say my streets. I've got another street about right here. So my sidewalk is going to turn. Right there too. There's a sidewalk. Maybe there's more buildings here. Okay. Crosswalk maybe. There's going to be another set of those traffic lines. Maybe a stop sign or something. You're going to think about what a city looks like and you're going to follow this 1 point perspective rule. And that's what's going to make it look believable. I'm going to leave you guys to it. I would love to see your work when you're ready. Add some color, make it look really cool and vibrant. And share it with me. Thanks guys. Sorry about some of the confusion. Sometimes I have crazy teacher brain where I forget what I'm saying or whatever it is. So thanks for bearing with me. Thanks guys. Have fun.